Yeah, because we have to.
Okay, so here we are live, and I have a special guest. This is the first time in the history of Art School Live that I've actually had a guest here in the studio with me, Pierre. Bonjour!
Bonjour! How are you? Comment ça va?
Yeah, whatever he said. So today is going to be completely unusual. So hang with us. We're going to get the show started, and then we'll be back, and you'll find out why are you here anyway.
Go paint! No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm here. I'm on my way to Namta, where I'm gonna get the Life Achievement Award. So it
Congratulations.
means that I'm getting old,
Yeah, I know the feeling.
and I couldn't go.
You'll never be as old as I am, though.
Well, I can look older, but yeah, on my way, and I couldn't come through Texas without saying hello.
Good.
So,
Well, we're going to learn more about this in a minute. Let's get the show started.
It's
Right.
Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Welcome to Art School Live. I'm Eric Rhodes. We're here every weekday at 12 noon and have been since the beginning of COVID. Our guest today is Pierre Guidetti. Did I say that right? Guidetti. I always get it wrong. Anyway, we're going to learn more about him and his role in the world of painting. So hang with us. I want to just mention to you guys that we have prizes for you today. First off, what are our prizes? Well, we have a book. It's my book, and it's Make More Money Selling Your Art. And you have the ability to win that. All you got to do is leave a comment, tell us where you're watching from, and we would love to pick one of you and give you the book, and you can have it digitally or physically, whatever you want. The winner of the last prize is, okay, Jay Neal in Sweetwater, Texas. He won a subscription to Plein Air Magazine. Now, we have a free gift for you. It's called 97 Tips, 97 amazing tips, secrets from top artists, all on video. You can have it streaming, which is what most people do, or you can have it on DVD if you want. If you want the DVD, pay the shipping. But just go to 97artsecrets.com and you can get it. And you can subscribe to this on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and find Art School Live. And then also go and follow at Eric Rhodes on Instagram. And anyway, we have a guest today. I'm just going to have Pierre come back over. You get off your phone and get over here. You're not paying attention. You know, you get a busy guy in here, and he's like always noodling away. And so today is unique. Normally, we would have an artist on teaching or demonstrating art, but instead we have someone who has a great history and background in the art world. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. We're going to teach you, he's going to teach you a few things that you didn't know about art, because he comes from France. And of course, France is where so much of it all began. We're going to talk about plein air. First question, Pierre. You hear people say plein air. You hear people say plein air. What's the correct French pronunciation?
So, well, that's a very good question. So it's not a quick answer. I'll take a minute, 2 minutes to answer, because in fact, the notion of plein air painting, the way we use it in America, it's very specific to here in the United States, or maybe in Anglo-Saxon country. In France, painting plein air is actually peindre sur le motif. It means paint live in front of your subject.
Sur le motif.
Sur le motif.
Sur le motif.
Sur le motif. So plein air, it means really outside.
Right.
That's all it means.
So there's I was in France, and I was freaked out. I went into a newsstand, and there was a magazine called Plein Air, and it was all about camping. It was about being outside.
So plein air. So the right thing when we use plein air, you would say en plein air.
En plein air.
So you paint en plein air. So
which is spelled E-N.
Yeah.
En plein air.
Yeah. So in fact, I did a little thing, a plein air little thing in Mill Valley last year, and I had the banner said Mill Valley en plein air.
Right.
But for the artist here, in fact, I'm doing another thing, which I should let you know, and I would send you, because with Richard Lindenberg, together we're doing a mini plein air event in Mill Valley. I'll tell you what, I think you you are a sponsor, you're giving a couple of prize. So we're going to post that. And when I was talking to all the artists, the seasoned American plein air painter like Richard, they said, no, en plein air, that's no people understand. It has to be plein air.
Yeah.
So I adapt to the
Well,
American
and that's what
thing.
I did when I created the magazine. I made it plein air instead of en plein air because I didn't want to confuse everybody. It was already confusing because Americans didn't know the term plein air. More know it now than ever.
Yeah.
But back when we started. So give me a little tiny bit of history on you and how you got involved in the art world, because a lot of people watching may or may not know you yet.
Yeah. So it's, I'm going to try to keep it very short, but it's one of those stories. When I tell the story, people say, oh, this is the California dream or the American dream. So basically, to keep it short and tight, at 20 years old, I was at school in Paris, and I came to San Francisco for 6 months that I had to do a market study for a company who sent me there and take a couple of classes at some college there. And then after 6 months, I was supposed to come back. I had a little vacation before coming back to the fall semester. And then quickly, I met a lady, often to do with ladies.
It's an old story.
Yeah.
It's always about a girl, right?
So I met a girl. I could say a girl because at the time it was a young lady or a girl in Sausalito at Café Trieste, and she was teaching art. And as we were talking, I was very impressed. And she had started a little business with her art teaching. She was getting a few items she was bringing from Paris, from Sennelier. And then I said, why don't I give you a hand, because I like marketing, business, and all that. I'm very impressed to see a young lady starting her own business and doing that. So I said, during my vacation, you give me a room and then I'll help you for free.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out I dropped out of school. I took all my saving and I invested together to incorporate savoir-faire, and we got married. She became the mother of my kids, and that was 40 years ago.
And you're still married.
We're still married.
By the way, she is a saint. Anybody who can live with this guy for 40 years is a saint, an angel.
Yes, she is indeed. And so that's it. So then I think what would be relevant is what I'm going to be doing now. So after 40 years, we just sold it.
Wait. Let's back up just a little bit, because you didn't really explain what savoir-faire is. First off, what does savoir-faire mean?
Okay, so savoir-faire means know-how. So, but it has also a colloquial. So know-how, literally, to know how to do something. That's what savoir-faire was. Know how to paint. Savoir-faire was sort of a school. Savoir-faire, know how to paint. So that was the premises. But savoir-faire, it's a play on a word, because it's also as a colloquial expression. It's like to have savoir-faire. It means to be cool, to be in the know, to be, trendy. No, it's a very, you say like a lady, very elegant lady. Oh, she has savoir-faire.
Right.
So it's a play on a word. So what we did, and right away, what happened was just remarkable. We had that connection with Sennelier, the company Sennelier, and they gave us, look at me, I was 20 years old when I was there, 21 when we got together, and the Sennelier family gave us the key to America, trusted us, two young hippies from San Francisco, to build the brand. Sennelier was totally unknown, and we built it from scratch. I opened every single store crisscross America for many, many years. And then.
So you kind of got to know every art person in the world, every artist, every art store.
Yeah.
And that's why you're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, because of all the effort. I mean, you made Sennelier a major brand in America.
Yeah, very, like I said, yes.
But you also then started importing other items.
Yeah, so I was Dominique Sennelier, the grandson of the founder, who became my mentor and my sort of, spiritual father, who would say. And he taught me and introduced me to different other manufacturers to complete the range. So we end up with line like Charbonnel, it's a printmaking, all the oldest printmaking ink, with Fabriano, the oldest paper mill since 1264, with Cretacolor from Austria, which is one of the oldest pencil manufacturers since 1790. And then others like Lamalie, like Isabelle brushes, Raphael brushes. So little by little, we built a portfolio of exclusive brand, always coming from a family company that then have brought something to the art history, invented something, they've contributed to art history. So that's sort of the, the criteria for us to take a line. It was ethic. People were honest and good people who had, in the ethics, a sense of respect for the environment and all that, a fair trade, and to be original. Nothing that we had were a product that was a Me Too. All those manufacturers had in common that they invented something.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were the first, like Sennelier invented the oil pastel. Fabriano invented the paper the way we have it today. Cretacolor invented the graphite lead. So they all have that. So, but what I want to say to bring me what's relevant today is for 40 years, for marketing purposes, for branding purposes, I was always very involved with teachers, with museum, with art school, with all that to promote my brand. And now that I sold, I realized that I love that. So even if I may not sell art supplies anymore, who knows? I might someday something, but for now, I still believe that art is essential. Art is good for you. Art is good for the world. It's therapeutic. It's good. So I'm going to continue to lobby for the arts.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, excuse me. I'd like to understand a little bit about Sennelier, even though you don't officially represent them anymore, you're good friends. They were the paint used by many of the great masters in France. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. I want to disclose that I'm not speaking representing the brand. I am not here as a spokesperson for Sennelier Company, but I'm so close to the Sennelier family. And since even as an agnostic now, agnostic in business, there is certain thing about the Sennelier history that it's part of history. So it's not, I'm not speaking on the behalf of the brand, but on the behalf of history. So yes, and that's something that you might, if you come, I hope you guys gonna come to Colorado, to Denver, because I'm very happy to be able to explain, to talk about that. But in short,
well, we're at the plein air convention.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But in short, where to start? Because it's an hour-long lecture. I'm going to try to tell you in 2 minutes. So basically, I'm thinking it's the parallel I make between the art revolution and the industrial revolution. And you'll see where Sennelier comes in. So at the time, in the 19th century, there was a lot of invention, one of them being the tube. And Sennelier's store, Sennelier Company, was one of the first, but the last existing store who were the first to put paint in tubes.
Yeah. Now, what for people who don't understand that, who assume paint has always been in tubes, what form did it come in? It was basically powdered pigment, right?
Yeah. So historically, since the Renaissance or since the Dutch time when the oil painting was really launched, was really there, is most of those artists had assistant, had helper. So you would ground your paint in the studio. So you always had assistant that would stretch your canvas, prime your canvas, and ground your paint.
Right.
Then after the stores, where you would go to the store and they would ground the paint for you, you would order a paint, and they would ground it in the back.
So they used to refer to those people as a color man.
Yep.
So what was the French term for that?
Marchand de couleur.
Marchand de couleur.
Marchand de couleur.
Okay.
And but then when artists wanted to carry their paint from point A to point B, what was mostly used was pig's bladder. So pig's bladder, it's like a pouch. So you put, after you ground the paint, you put the paint in that bladder, and you tie it up. And when you want to use it, you puncture it. At the time was with a ivory pin.
Yeah.
Click, and then you would press it like a tube, and then you would put back the pin. So it was not very convenient. And in fact, and that's what I'm talking about. And there's other invention, new colors like all the blues, the ultramarine, the cobalt blue, all those blue came in the 19th century. And then the brushes, the ferrule of the brush, flat brush or filbert brush, all that was new. So when I speak to art school, sometimes I ask the students, what came first, the chicken or the eggs?
Right.
So is it the manufacturer, by developing, like Sennelier and a few others, by developing new product, new colors, painting tube that have opened the door to the artist to go paint plein air, to paint outside because of the convenience. There was also development of easels, collapsible easel and all that. That opened the door and created and helped the impressionists to be? Or was it the artist that put pressure on the marchand de couleur, on the color man, to create new products? So what do you think? What do you think came first?
I think it was, I don't think the artists knew to pressure them. That's just the way things work.
Yeah. So what happened, and I'll talk a little teaser about the plein air convention, where I'm very happy to be a faculty. So I'll talk more in details and I'll have photos and things. But basically, plein air painter to me started, and everybody have their own little story, but L'École de Barbizon, where it was really already what was at the end of the 18th, beginning of 19th century. Barbizon. They started to paint outside, but they didn't have all those tools. So it was very cumbersome. So they would have to carry the big canvas and the big easel and things. So, but they started to paint outside. But then it's in the mid-19th century that suddenly, and you know the story, I'm not going to repeat, with Monet.
But they don't know it.
Monet and Cézanne, Pissarro, those were the three fathers of the Impressionism. And all Impressionists came from Monet's painting in Le Havre at the sunrise. So that's because he said, it gives an impression. So you have an impression, you feel. It's not about fully representing something, is that you give the impression of something.
Right.
So that's how that painting was called Impression
Sunrise.
And then that's how the name Impressionist came about.
So we did a lot of research, and we found that plein air painting actually was taking place even way before Barbizon.
Yeah,
but it was much different then. So there were people who were going out sketching. There were people painting in brown ink into their sketch pads. So it was, in fact, plein air painting, but it really wasn't with color. And that kind of goes back to before Rembrandt's time. But really, it was the time of the Impressionists that really popularized it. Americans went over and studied in France. Yeah, and then they brought the whole plein air thing here.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because all the Sargent, the Wyeth, all those people, they actually studied the Marie Cassatt, all this, they actually studied in France. But even way back, and I do also, not this year, maybe another year, I talk about the history of watercolor, the history of paper. And in that, it's very interesting with what you're saying is, originally it's in England that the term watercolor started, even though there was sort of watercolor since the Renaissance, but the term watercolor started in England with people like Cutman, Turner, and Reeve, were the three major painters who actually created the watercolor the way we know it. But at the time, they were not, at the beginning, it was like you said, they were doing their watercolor plein air, but it was really a sketch, a study. For them, they would paint in their big studio the big painting, the Turner type.
Yeah.
But they would always start, not always, but often start watercolor plein air.
So Albert Handel was here last week when we had the global paint out, and he said, I had the first French easel that came to America. He bought it in 1950. It came to an art store, and he bought the first one. And he had that for many years. He doesn't have that one anymore, but he has an old one.
Yeah, so that's probably referring to Julien.
Julien, yeah.
Julien, that was made that I used to sell Julien, but then Mr. Julien passed away, and then he was sold, and now it's made different place. I mean, the brand still exists, but it's not made in France exactly the same way. It's still a good easel. And that was Mr. Julien who actually invented a sophisticated way to collapse the easel. In the 19th century, that was already close to the French easel, but you couldn't really carry it on your shoulder very well. It was cumbersome. You can see old photo of Cézanne with one, and then it's Mr. Julien's during World War II. As a prisoner, he was thinking, he had a lot of time, he designed all the intricate way to collapse an easel, to make it in a French box easel.
Really?
And then it came out in the 50s. He was starting to produce it, to sell it. And the Albert Handel easel, he probably got it at David Davis in New York. That was the first person who got it in New York. So probably through them.
Yeah, awesome. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's hard for me to go to the questions because we're on camera the whole time. But we're going to take a quick break, play something about the plein air convention, which Pierre mentioned, and then we're going to be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
And hey, I'm here if there's any question, but they cannot ask questions.
Well, they can ask questions, and we'll look at some questions while the promo's playing.
There's only one place in the world where the entire family of plein air gathers. Get ready for the Woodstock of plein air painting. Come home to the 10th Annual Plein Air Convention and Expo, May 21st through 25th in Colorado. Because it's our 10th birthday bash, show up and we'll bring the gifts and the cake. This year's event promises to be the biggest and most exciting yet, with a jam-packed schedule of demonstrations and workshops on 5 different stages, including a stage for oil, watercolor, pastel, and extra demos, all included for one price. And a giant expo hall of the latest art materials at deep discounts. And the only place in the world to find all the plein air specific materials in one place. Plus a faculty and attendee art show and daily paint outs with over 1,000 of your closest friends. 5 days focused on the plein air lifestyle and a few surprises. You'll have the opportunity to learn from the best of the best. Meet them and even buy them a drink. We've spared no expense to bring the finest plein air painters alive today, including Lori Putnam, Alvaro Castanet, Steve Curry, Don Demers, Michelle Dunaway, Albert Handel, Jane Hunt, Daniel Sprick, Camille Preswanik, Jim Woodark, and a total of 80 top instructors. And when we go outside, they'll be there to help you. And if you're new to plein air painting, we have a special Essentials Day just for you. We'll walk you through how to paint in every medium, what you need to start painting outdoors, and our special faculty will work directly with you when you paint outdoors together. It's a powerful way to learn, and you won't be alone, even if you come not knowing anyone. Plus, if you're new and never been before, our orientation puts people together, so you never have to be alone. Join us as we celebrate our 10th anniversary with celebrity guest Jane Seymour. VIP ticket holders will not only receive upfront seating and access to a special VIP lounge, you'll also enjoy a meet and greet with her, plus a chance to get their picture taken with this multiple Emmy and Golden Globe winner, who has a genuine love of art. How cool is that? So if you're serious about improving your skills as an artist, reconnecting with old friends or making new ones, and then having the time of your life while making memories that will last a lifetime, the 10th Annual Plein Air Convention and Expo is the event for you. Don't wait. Register today and experience the ultimate in plein air instruction in colorful Colorado. Grab your ticket today before we're sold out at pleinairconvention.com.
So we're live with my guest, Pierre Guidetti, formerly with Savoir Faire, now a free agent. We were just talking. We were trying to figure out when we first met. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember very clearly now. It's true. It was probably, I was going to say, oh, at Plein. No. Actually, it was much longer, much longer ago than I thought. I think it's over 15 years, 50 or 20 years. I remember you came to Novato, and I was, Richard Lindenberg at the time was working with us, and he was our head of marketing. And
I had met Richard painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he told me, Pierre, and we were already working on doing plein air sets or product or things. We were already in that trend because Richard was very pushing on that. So, which made sense because of the history of Sennelier. So, and then he told me, oh, I know this guy is coming. I don't know where you were coming from. I don't know something, but you were coming from far away. So,
I lived out there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So in the East Bay, maybe. Never mind. He told me, you need to meet this guy. Let's organize a lunch because the two of us, you talk a lot, and we'll see who talks the most. No, and then he told me about that you had some idea about plein air, you had a magazine. So he didn't tell me much, but he said, you love this guy. Let's have lunch together. So I said, okay, let's have lunch. And so we did have lunch. I remember exactly where it was. It was in Novato in the old in Hamilton Air Base. Old decoration, Art Deco and things. But anyways, and that's when you were telling me about your plein air magazine adventure, and you were about to relaunch the new plein air. And then we were talking and said, oh, it's great. You know me, with Sennelier, I talk about the Impressionist. And that's when I was not using the term plein air as automatically as you did. Me, I was always referring to painting the Impressionist, painting outside, doing this. And you were talking about plein air because of your magazine. And that's how the name plein air really gelled. But what's funny about that is we both had the idea, but you had the organization or the will about doing some kind of a get together. Me, I didn't think of a convention, but I wanted to have like an Impressionist party. I was telling you and said, oh, but I have this idea of a convention, blah, blah, blah. And that was probably 5 or 6 years before of your first plein air convention.
Yeah, so probably was. Yeah.
So that was interesting. Great mind think alike.
That's right. Well, you have a great mind. I'm not so sure about me, but I think that
you did it.
We, as people may or may not know, we started Plein Air magazine probably 20 years ago. And then we ran for 2 or 3 years, and we had to close it because nobody would support us. People told us, Pierre, that vendors said there's not enough plein air painters out there to advertise in your magazine, and galleries said, oh, well, we don't carry plein air paintings. And so we couldn't get any advertising. We tried. We had a lot of people subscribing. And I got a call one day from my bookkeeper, and she said, look, you're going to be bankrupt unless you kill this thing. And so instead of killing it, I changed it to Fine Art Connoisseur to broaden it. Also another French word.
I didn't know that that's how French, the Art Connoisseur came about.
Yeah. So Plein Air became Fine Art Connoisseur, which survived because it was broader interest. And it's still alive today. It's celebrating its 20-year anniversary. So it had to have been 23 years ago or something. And then as I just couldn't get it out of my head, plein air was something I did. I loved it. And people were calling me, we miss it, bring it back. And so we finally, when we had some meat on our bones, got healthy again, I said, this time we're going to bring it back with a convention because we couldn't make enough money on the magazine alone at the time. Okay. But if we could make a little money from the convention, we could build the plein air movement. And the theory was if we could get all the people in the plein air world together and have a gathering and get them to know each other, kind of like Thanksgiving for artists, it would gel the community and build the movement. And at the time, you remember, there probably weren't 5 plein air events in the world at the time. And today there are 300-400.
Yeah, no, I remember because parallel to that, I was start getting involved with some plein air festival. The one I was the closest was Sonoma Plein Air. I was
Sonoma.
the first. Sonoma, I was the first sponsor. Sponsor. I gave a few paints, with Keith Weeks, who was there, and I.
Yep.
Same thing. He didn't know. No one knew about it, and it was very risky to do that. So I have that small because I was small, but. And it's true, there was just a couple. We knew a little bit in Laguna. There was Sonoma, and then it started a little bit in the east, but it was not at all what it is today.
It just blossomed, and so it's been really a terrific ride.
But if I can, since you're talking about the convention, how important, I didn't realize that you did the convention to support the magazine. But anyway, the convention was a great success, and what I believe you've done, you and your organization and all the community, not alone, but
never alone.
But you set the trend. Is what I believe it's very special about plein air is the camaraderie, the people meeting together, and it's sort of a party. I see that as, on one hand, you have very great teacher, great classes, great demonstration, but the social activity, that's what was missing in the plein air live, because we haven't talked about that, but everybody asked me, so what do you think now? Art instruction should be live, should be streaming, should be live, and I said, it's different. Both are different, but the element that's very unique about the plein air convention, the way you built it, is that social people are really anxious to see each other once a year.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other conventions I can think of like that, but you're not the only one, but you are probably probably the bigger one. I don't have the numbers, but that sense of party.
Well, there's Portrait Society, and they have that same sense of community,
Yep.
and it's a really great organization. We used to do the FACE conference,
Yep.
And we have put it on ice for now until we figure out, it was kind of COVID that we put it on ice, and then it's the plein air convention. So it is it's a community, and I think
Yep.
the thing that I've heard from some people is that they're a little intimidated to go because it seems so big, or they're like, maybe I don't paint well enough to be seen outdoors painting. What would you say to them?
No, so I want to be very clear about that, that there's no way to be intimidated. There's nothing intimidating. That's one of the beauty of that convention in particular, is you don't have this. I never felt it. I never heard anyone feeling it because it's so casual. People go from one room. There's no attitude. The artists are all helping one another. It could be occasional competition on the, but not even, on the demonstrations and all that. So there's really, and you have glass of wine at night, and then you can paint here. You don't have to do anything. You can just hang out with some people you like. And there's always those people who help you on the field, right? I don't know how you call it.
We call them field painters.
Yeah, and very casual. They let you be, and if you have a question, they help you. But no, there is no sense of So please, that wouldn't be the reason not to go. That's absolutely not a problem. I mean, you shouldn't be afraid. It's really a party. Come and party with us.
So anyway, you're going to be speaking this year at
Yep.
the convention, which is great. Thank you for doing that. And well, that's enough about the convention.
Yeah.
You're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at
because I'm old enough.
Yeah.
That's what my wife said. Oh, yeah. If you can stay that long, you get it.
Well, she should be there with you.
Oh, but she's not coming because she's in France with her mom right now. But she got the award also.
Yes, I was going to say the
Yeah.
two of you, and you're a perfect couple because you provide a lot of balance.
Yeah.
She's got the discipline. You're the creative. You're the guy that's coming up with all these crazy ideas, and so that's a really nice balance.
But in fact, so I don't know if we have time to talk about it, but that's a subject that comes over and over. So for the little story, yes, it's true for people who know us, me and Maureen, or one of us. We are totally almost the opposite personality. I'm super extrovert, she introvert. She's organized, disciplined, structured, left, very left brain. I mean, doesn't matter the brain that, and me, I'm more, like you said, expanding, growing, moving, creating, and all that. And at the beginning, 40 years ago, my friend, and the people around said, no, it's never going to work out. You guys can't. It's not possible. You're too different. And then people said, oh, no, you're not going to go in business with your wife. This is never going to work. You guys are going to kill each other. It's impossible. And all the people who said that, I don't think they are in the same relationship than back then. So that's something to say philosophically. If you can find the right balance and to be complementary, to have complementarity in the couple, whether it's a couple in business or the couple in marriage, the diversity, it's important, as long as at the end of the day you align with a similar goal, but you can take different paths.
Well, and I think there's a similarity because a lot of artists are right-brained people, and they look at the idea of being entrepreneurs or being in business as overwhelming because they don't know how to approach it. And that's where, if you can get a spouse or an agent or a buddy to take that business role for you and play that role and help you, then you make a lot of progress.
So, but the irony is Maureen is an artist also. So
that's true.
When she paints, she has that full creativity. So she has both. We all have both. So she has the artist, but in the management, she's in the management because we both co-manage Savoir-Faire. I was the CEO, she was the president, and we all have, co-manage with a different personality and a different specialty. So, but I want to say something because I want to go back to something when you were talking about Richard. Just want to say, I mentioned it earlier a little bit. I just realized now it's in 10 days in Mill Valley, California. We are doing a little pilot program, a mini plein air convention, just one day. And it's with Richard that helped me to gather a group of artists. I'll show you later. I'm just doing a poster right now on it. And so we are a dozen artists, plein air painter that we paint on the square of Mill Valley. And that's, if it works well, if all the art commission and the parks and recs and the city manager, because it gets very political these days, works out, never know. Maybe I'll talk to you about a bigger event sometime.
Yeah, okay. I think that sounds like a good idea.
And on the thing that's happening also later, I'm going to be going to Bologna for Fabriano and Aquarello.
Yeah.
And I'm also very proud to be invited to be there.
Well, and we're having dinner tonight with the CEO of Fabriano. Is that right? Is that tonight?
No, it's not. It's not the
CEO.
CEO.
Oh,
it's a general manager.
General manager. Okay, I'm sorry.
So we'll see. We're gonna. So anyway, this is a very special place, Aquarello. It's very, very different. Yes, the approach is, the philosophy is very different than what you have developed. The philosophy, it's going to be too long to explain, but it's worth exploring. It's basically 80 countries. You have a head of each country that select between 10 to 40 artists, depending on the size of the country or how many artists, that come and show and do demonstration in a town for a few days. But it's not really a trade show. I know it's too long to explain. The philosophy is fantastic. We have to see how we can make it so it pays for itself. That's always the challenge, because it's not highly profitable. But what a beautiful, beautiful thing. You get the best paint, the watercolor painting from this year, I think it's 81 different countries.
Yes,
and I think it's over 1,000 watercolor that will be shown in the heart, in the old town of Bologna. Bologna being the oldest university in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Full of history.
Well, I couldn't make it this year, but I'll make it next year.
Yeah.
Well, I think, anyway, I just think we've probably covered it all. You guys have been very patient with us. Pierre, it's been a pleasure to have you here. You have a couple of books. They're out of print or they're not available anymore. You should just show them that.
Yeah, this is because when I do the lecture I'm going to be giving in Denver, right? In Colorado, in Denver at PACE, Plein Air Convention. It was based on that book written by Pascal Richard, which is a great friend of mine. It was based on the lecture I gave at CAA, College Art Association. And he talks about what I've told about the history, the beginning of the, here, I'll take one image, the beginning of the Sennelier in the 19th century. And this store that you can see here, I don't know.
Yeah, right there, hold it still.
That's where Cézanne, Monet, Renoir used to buy their paint. So full of that experience, the book traced down all the artists and the development of product, the parallel between the art.
And that store still exists today.
Yeah.
And it's a ball to go in there.
Oh my God.
And you introduced me to Jacques, who I met there at one time.
Then it's still the family. So right now it's Sophie Dominique has been my mentor. When I started, when Maureen and I started Savoir Faire, now it's the daughter, which would be the great-granddaughter of the faunder. Her name is Sophie. So come to Paris, it's easy. It's across from the Louvre, and it's on the same side of Orsay Museum. And originally when I started, Sennelier had in his catalog, he says, it's not by accident if the Louvre is across from Sennelier.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's a wonderful store and it's worth visiting. It's pretty amazing. And you just you feel like you have to go in there and buy everything, which is wonderful. And I did, of course. Well, Pierre, thank you so much. And we're going to spend some time together, which will be fun.
Yeah. And what are we going to say now? Remember? What I used to say.
Well, we should. Can wait. No, let's not do that yet. Let's talk about that. Can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
So Pierre and I have something in common, and that is when COVID hit, we both went on the air, went online. Pierre did Fridays at
5 Eastern, 2
Eastern.
West.
And he was on for what, 3 years?
3 years, yeah. Because I made the commitment. I started the first week after we closed, and I committed live. It was the first time I didn't even know about Instagram Live. It was in March 2020. And after a week of closing, I said, no, we have to talk about it. We have to open. Art is essential. So I started. And on that first live, I committed, I pledged it. And I will come every Friday until the end of COVID. Yeah. And I thought the COVID will be a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be 3 years.
I thought it was going to be 2 weeks. I started the same week and every day for 7 solid months. And then after 7 months, it's like, I can't do it every day. So it's been 5 days every day since then. You are a hero. And so you are going to resume your show at some point?
Yeah. So this is the thing, because as we passed the hand of our new, the company that taken over Savoir Faire, that manage Savoir Faire now, that have the Sennelier and the Fabriano, have also the same Art Savoir Faire on Instagram. I invite you to check it out. And so I'm starting my new one. I always have my personal Pierre Guidetti, but that's more for personal stuff.
Nobody can spell it.
So I decided, and today is the first time I think I did my first post today on that, and it's going to be called Go Paint!
Go Paint!
So it's Go Paint Pierre, but Go Paint because I started to say on the live, I would finish by Go Paint. It came, naturally, little by little, and now a lot of people, I find they say, oh, bonjour, go paint.
Yeah, everybody's using it.
So bonjour, go paint. Those are my 2 mottos. So yes, so today is the beginning of Go Paint Pierre on Instagram. I invite you to check it out. I'll try to come out, and I will resume the lives, but I haven't decided when, because I think when you start, you need to be consistent.
Well, you stand here in the studio. I'm going to take a picture of you so you can post it on your thing. So you just talk to the people.
Voila. So I got too bad I cannot see the question, but I hope to see you all in Denver. I'm very excited to go. And also something before, for all of you who go to plein air, who have seen me at plein air, it was very touching, by the way. Did you hear when the last year, I would go and people would come, there would be a line, people take selfie with me. Or because they said, oh my God, during COVID.
Let's do that right now.
You were so helpful when we were all.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
So, so this year, but I usually I used to have to run a booth. So now my good friend Andrew will be running the booth with some other people. So Savoir-Faire will be present, but me, I'll be faculty. So I'll be free to chat, to help you, to talk about you. And in fact, I asked Sarah, and I'm asking you, let me know what I can do. I think naturally I find a way to help people. But
just do autographs. Just do autographs the whole time.
All right. Well, that's very exciting.
All right. Well, thank you, Pierre, and thank you guys for your patience. This is a lot different than we normally do, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to have Pierre in the studio with me. So thumbs up and applause for Pierre. Thank you so much.
And we have to say, because what he didn't say, I was literally, I was flying this morning and he told me, hey, why don't you, yesterday, no, when you come, why don't you come to my live? And literally my flight landed at 9:30. I had to rush here and I'm just out of the plane. So literally, I commit like that. So what are we saying now? 1, 2, 3, go paint! All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. Have a great day. Bye-bye.